Welcome everyone to the Vermin Sermon, and this is episode 32, I think. Not whatever it is the last episode was. Well, I mean, actually, the last episode was 31, of course. We had a 1 week break. There was no video, nothing was uploaded last week. We were very busy, of course. Yes, I'm aware there's just a massive gap between 31 and now 32, which is this one and not the last one. Um,
We're
just
consistency kings.
yeah, just moving on. Um, we've got a couple things to talk about, and I guess the first thing I think we should tackle is stuff related to Project Cars 3 and the general reception around it, and Ian Bell's response.
Yeah,
Quite hilarious.
what a
So Stelio,
response.
I'm just gonna ask, what of this do you know about, or have seen, or what were your thoughts, basically?
Pretty much like just talking to Cam and them. That's all
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, and it's like it's essentially it's if it was to say like how everyone I'd say we've talked to, it's like lukewarm to like cold reception of how they
Yeah.
feel about the game, and then you see what people are saying about it, and then you said there's Ian
Yeah.
Bell's response. Yeah,
Um.
great.
Yeah, and the thing about this game is it feels rushed because I remember when it was announced or revealed, either one of the two. Actually, no, I think it was announced like years ago, like maybe like 2018 or something like that. But then nobody cared. But when it was revealed, like when we had a reveal trailer, I remember it felt like it just came out of nowhere. Like bam, Project Cars 3. Oh, by the way, it's coming out in a few months. Like that's all I
Have you ever seen the
remember of
reveal
it.
trailer?
Um and it's like I really do think it was rushed. Um but a couple things I do want to say. From what I've heard so far, I haven't played the game. As of recording this, it would have come out a day earlier, and then early access for deluxe edition would have been way before, or a couple days before. And even if I had the game, I don't think I'd have enough time to play it. And little side note, I want to like clear up or make it sound like I'm the most busy person on earth. Not really. Anyone who's been through college knows this. It's not that horribly busy, but it's just that I see the fault within myself when it comes to time management, and I'm getting better at it. But I don't want it to make it. I don't want to make it seem like oh, I'm so busy all the time. I'm actually not. I just I'm very aware of when I waste time. Um, and I'm trying to get better at that. So hopefully, if I do really well with time management, I should be able to have prepared topics and everything with notes and not just have to go off the top of my head. But it is what it is. But back to Project Cars 3. I've heard that the handling is really weird and arcadey. And here's what baffles me a little bit. When Project Cars 3 was revealed and there was information about it coming out about it being a little bit of a shift successor. I mean, there was that information late 2018. Um and you see, I first thought it's going to have elements of it that remind you of Shift, but it'll still feel like a sim racer, you know? Um and that was also the impression that I got from Ian Bell and the rest of the team, was that this game, it's not gonna be an arcade racer. It's gonna have some elements from arcade racers, but it will still be at its core a sim, even without tire wear, without pit lanes, yada yada, etc. But apparently it doesn't even feel like a sim, and that's kind of a huge turnoff. You see, I thought that it would be like Shift in that yes, you have Shift or Forza Motorsport are really the other arcade to simcade kinds of track racers out there. Um, Except it would be really honed in and realistic. You see, a lot of these games like Forza and Gran Turismo and Need for Speed Shift and everything else, you can do a big part of it's doing performance upgrades and actually taking your own car and modifying it and then tuning it and competing it with it. But you see, it's hard to get a real life um I guess, representative of that in terms of real, like realistic physics. And I imagine because you would basically have to test out a car and then apply the mods to the car in real life and then drive it and test it because I don't think a computer can predict how it'll feel realistically. At least not that well. That's just my assumption, but um, and so because of that, it would take a grueling amount of work to have a car with a bunch of different upgrades on it, and it feels super realistic each way. That's what I thought they were going for here, but because of the fact that the handling is a bit arcade like, I guess that's not really what they achieved. Um, I've also heard about the graphics being not great, and yeah, I'll be honest, the cars do look kind of plasticky at times, but like I don't even care anymore. It looks good enough. Just graphics. It's not. I don't see what the big issue is, but then again, that's always kind of been my stance on that kind of thing. So so be it. It might just be a personal opinion that the graphics are all right. Um, in any case, reception has been kind of so, and a lot of people say that Slightly Mad Studios have lied to them because it's not really a sim.
Lie.
Here's the thing. I think they were a tiny bit misleading with it being like, oh, it's a full simulator, but it has some elements that would cause it to be a shift successor, you know? Um, but I really don't think that's completely true. They, I mean, people are surprised that it's a shift successor at all when, again, they've said it in like what, 2018 or something like that. So I don't, and here's the thing: I did not even know that, or I did not remember that when the game was revealed. But you know what I did? I did my own research. I looked it up. I was like, did Slightly Mad ever call Shift or Project Cars 3 a shift successor? Because I saw the reveal trailer and it looked a bit different. I could kind of tell something else was going on here. And lo and behold, I found tons of the article. Um, basically, it was one article and then other articles talking about that article, which is really bizarre, but whatever. I don't know. Games journalism is what it is, so
That's
not gonna
something
don't want to
interesting.
talk about that cesspool. So,
And
um,
talking about what's it called when you like looked into actually fact checking if did they
yeah,
lie? Because it's a system, not it's the I system, which is inspect, confirm, and if it's like not true or not even, then it's like the inspection piece where it's like you say they lied. Here's showing that they didn't, but it was
yeah,
misleading. So
it
it's like
was
I will
still
give you the
misleading.
half point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Here's the
it's
thing that
interesting, honestly.
but you know what it could be? It could be that they weren't lying because lying implies that
That's
they
that
intentionally were
yeah,
telling you.
intentional.
You see,
Yeah,
because it's definitely possible that they thought they were making sim physics, but the sim physics are garbage. It's
if
entirely
if
possible.
that's the case, and that's like, boys,
Oh
just say
man.
you lied or something. Fuck it. Don't let them know that. That's more embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You see, one of my friends who's super into sim racing, and that's almost all he does. You know, nothing wrong with that. If that's what you enjoy, it's what you enjoy.
Eat, sleep, sim.
He's talking about how much Project Cars always was basically the bottom of the barrel when it comes to realistic sims.
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
hoping that last resort.
you would rather play Assetto Corsa, and then if you could afford it, you would definitely rather play iRacing, but not Project Cars
Mm.
or Project Cars 2. So, and those are the games that are more realistic than Project Cars 3. So, I don't know. They said that it was they expanded on the physics of Project Cars 2. I don't know, man. Um, I'll say this. Yes, it's true that they told everyone, hey, it's going to be a shift successor in 2018. We have no excuse for being this surprised, but things could be handled still a little bit better on their end. Um, I'll give you an example of what it means where you're not lying, but there is some miscommunication. Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. Uh, who in their right mind, after seeing those E3 trailers, still thought, oh, this is just like old Most Wanted? No, it's not. The E3 trailer showed takedowns, like Burnout style takedowns, which are still in the game, kind of, sort of Burnout style takedowns. It showed jumps. It showed billboards, I'm fairly certain. And it showed carjacking, where you don't actually like unlock and purchase cars, you just find them around and get into them. That E3 trailer showed us everything we needed to know. I actually feel like an idiot, like a complete and utter moron, for buying Most Wanted 2012 when it came out and thinking it was still going to be like old Most Wanted, despite seeing trailers with my own eyes that's completely contrary to what I thought was going to happen. You know? Um,
And you know what the interesting thing about the 2012 thing was?
yeah.
Motherfucker said, "Oh, I'm not falling for it again." Yeah, you got you payback. Like you said, the trailers. I was like, yeah, the
Oh,
red
man.
flags. Like I remember when 2012 happened. I was like, I'll still try it, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'll buy it. I'll just hire it out.
I mean,
And
dude,
then I was like,
honestly,
yeah, these. I
ever
guess.
since probably like '07, I didn't really care about Need for Speed until 2015 came out. Like I would always get like the ones after '07, I would get like secondhand or not actually no, I wouldn't get them used, but I would get them when they're on discount price. I wouldn't I see I was pretty young and kind of stupid, so I didn't really fully grasp yearly releases and release cycles. So I'm like, oh, there's new Need for Speed. Oh, what is this? It's called Hot Pursuit. Is it would be in 2010. I was like, it doesn't look like Carbon or Underground or
Yeah,
Tuning, so whatever.
anything
I'll
we've
get that.
seen. Yeah,
And then the run, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Is this a movie or is this a video game? I don't want to play this.
honestly,
And I did
with Need
actually
for
like the
Speed,
run now that I've played it, but I wouldn't have liked it if I was when I played it back then. I
oh,
know
that's
that
a
much for
great
sure.
question. I wonder, because that's the exact same thing that happened to me after '07. I stopped really caring about the
Yeah,
franchise. I
yeah,
wonder how many people within the community that happened to, like after Pro Street, and then, or if you had Undercover, and then it's like you kind of faded away. Like you still played
yeah,
them, but you're not. You wouldn't say you're like a fan.
yeah. It's a little bit weird because I also missed out on Undercover, and I didn't get to it until later on. But
Neither. I
part of the
haven't played it.
reason why I left was I was 7, and like I didn't like when Pro Street came out, and I didn't really know much about release cycles and it was just
I
whenever I
kinda
went to the
did.
store and looked at the game boxes, like, oh, what's there. But yeah. um
I did because one, I used to buy like Game Informer magazines, which, and
yeah.
then you had the yearly releases, and two, I knew that Need for Speed was on a yearly cycle because other games I play, like the fighting games or like even like Pokemon to a degree,
mm,
like they were like Pokemon's bi-yearly and fighting games are usually like 4 or 5 years in
yeah,
between each iteration. So it's like, yeah, I just like, damn, they would be releasing this shit at a crazy work rate. Like I didn't
yeah,
understand, like, oh yeah,
kind of,
the work you're putting in for that work rate. But yeah,
yeah.
back then I didn't understand. Oh shit, new Need for Speed
Need for
every
Speed.
single year.
Yeah. But also
Mainly what
like,
happened was, you know how we talk about like the idea of like an attention span.
yeah.
It's like that with the franchise. Like I didn't get bored of Need for Speed. I just was more interested in other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't really know. I think I actually was just bored of Need for Speed because like I would look
Oh,
at the and then I'd be like, Hot Pursuit 2010. Yeah, I guess I'll get it. And actually, I did have quite a bit of fun online in that game, but it was just like I could definitely tell there's like so much missing from it, and it wasn't what I liked with Underground, you know that kind of style of racing game. But um, and the only and one of the other things I had was Midnight Club, and back when Midnight Club came out, I was so bad at racing games that I actually hate like I didn't hate the game, but I hated that I sucked so hard at it. So like I was so bad at it that it was not enjoyable. Like that's how bad I was at with Midnight Club LA. I was actually so terrible. Those dub tournaments. I never beat them when I was a kid. I never beat them. Like the one for
they were vicious. As a kid,
the like the dub edition. What was it? Like the Mercedes.
yeah,
It's one of them. Then the Lambo and the Charger and the
yeah,
Challenger and
the
that stuff.
yeah
Um,
the letter of the game's fucking dub
yeah,
tournaments. With me, since one coming from fighting games, blah blah. I was stubborn little shit. Like
Yeah.
it took me a while, but I just did not give up. I refused to. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking
remember
get this. I
on
don't
one
care
of
how
them-
long I have to play.
Yeah, on one of them I spent like 2 hours on it, and then I just could not. And part of the reason was, anytime I'd crash, I'd just restart the race. I'm like, there's no hope. I'm not gonna win the race. But what if honestly, if I just like let myself crash and kind of take it easy and figure out a route and then restart it, I would have probably got it as a kid. But I didn't have
I've
that
always thought
strategy.
about that when it comes to what I've seen when people set like pretty decent times on if they're like practicing, say like aloud on like a racing game. I
Yeah.
noticed that their weaknesses are always usually in the later half of the fucking race, which I'm assuming is because you were trying to string together a great line and then you bin it halfway through and then you restart, so you're not actually practicing the final half.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you end up not.
Yeah.
actually
So what I
practicing the
always
whole
used to
track.
do was I'd just keep going, but if it was like if it was only like a couple corners left and I'm not winning, I'd just like, okay, I'll restart now. Because I'd be like, getting in more practice each time. Let's go, bigger improvements.
Yeah.
I want to beat this fucking tournament. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah, but I didn't really have that idea in mind.
I always been a competitive little fucker, so
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna win. I don't care.
Um,
I have to do this for a month.
Also, I mentioned, I like the run, but I don't think I would have liked it as a kid. Do you have any games like that? Where it's like, man, if I was a kid and I played this, I'd hate it.
That's interesting because it's usually like when you're a child, you didn't like this game, but you appreciate when you're older. It's like if you missed it as a kid, but it's like, I knew young me would not like this.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's I actually have two I guess like, there's the run for one of the cases, but for the other thing where I genuinely disliked Pro Street when I was a kid, but I loved it when I got older and played it again. Absolutely.
I'm
game now.
I've never really had any of them. Like my gaming case has been pretty like stable since I've been
Pretty
like 4.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some games I go back to where it's like, you're not shit, but you're not like as good as I remember.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like you meet up with like that girl you liked in high school. It's like, what happened? Kind of fell off, ma. It's kind of like that. Some of those games, it's like, you know what? Let's keep them rose tinted glasses on.
Yeah.
Let's just keep the memories.
There's also been like some games where just by nostalgia alone, I still enjoy them. The first ever game I played was Spy Hunter 2 on the PS2, and it's actually mechanically it's a very well made game. I'll say that actually. And that might
Like
be one of the
fundamentally
reasons why.
like
Yes,
physics
on a
or
fun
that
like the
bullshit.
basics, everything it's actually really
like
good. The handling and everything. You basically you drive a car, the G 8155 Interceptor or something like that. Very, very tight handling, but that doesn't feel broken. It feels natural. And you have like machine guns and rockets and EMPs off the top of your car and off to the sides, and you basically like I don't remember the story, but there was a lot of like weird stuff. Like I think at the end you
Talk
defeated
about
this
handling.
gigantic
go.
like. Oh, go ahead.
No, you keep going.
Yeah, so at the end,
I
I
have a
think
question
you
after this,
defeat
but-
this like gigantic tank, and some guy in there is either from like Russia or something like that, and he wants to like demolish the Earth and repopulate or something insane. Like it escalates. To, like,
Classic.
like that's
like,
ridiculous,
villain.
man.
Yeah.
Or something insane. But some of the complaints. The game was extremely short. It's like 15 levels long. That's it. But it still has hours of replay value because it's when I say replay value, I really mean restart value because it's
I was
ridiculously
about to
hard.
say,
It's ridiculously hard. I've
just
never
because it's
beat
15
it.
levels.
Yeah.
15
Eh,
levels. Have fun
actually-
getting through all of them.
You know what's interesting about Spawner 2? You know who made it? Do you want to take a guess? Extremely hard game. Involves cars.
Rockstar?
Yes, but before they were Rockstar, Angel Studios.
Angel Studios, yeah.
Yeah, or I guess before that
I
division
have
of it.
no
But
idea why
yeah,
I was
the
about to-
same people who made Freedom
Yeah.
Midnight Club made
And
Spy Hunter 2.
one, yeah, Midnight Club 1, that's...
Yeah.
To be
And
fair, that would have been interesting, because you know how when you talk about like a studio when, they had all the success, it's like, what are the games like before they became this household name? It's like, oh, these are still really good. Okay, I kind of see why they fucking got their chance.
yeah. Um and also I think it's worth mentioning. I think there's a good chance that part of it is because part of the reason why the game just isn't that great is they were probably rushed because Angel Studios, they were pumping out games. It feels like pretty much every year or somewhat close to that, and so if you're making Spiner 2 while half your studio is also making Midnight Club 1 or whatever the case is, right? That's probably got to be tough, but the game is very very short and very very difficult. And really, I don't really possess the skill set. You know, I can race. When it comes to racing games in general, I'm probably about average skill level. But Spy Hunter 2, it's not necessarily about racing.
Here's the thing:
But it's
you
still
say
just
average,
so hard. Yeah.
but we still actually. I think getting good at Midnight Club 2 in a way is slightly like fighting games, where it's like there's you got to actually like study the matchup, which is the
Yeah.
maps. Like you got to know the shortcuts. You got to know where you can cut, where you can't.
Yeah.
Like where the AI
Actually,
for some reason is really really strong.
yeah. This is just a random thing I've thought about before. When I was playing MCLA and I started to actually focus more on, like, I remember there was like a distinct turning point where I got much better at the game, where I would like open the map every few seconds and like quickly open it and close it, glance at where the next checkpoint is and think in my head, and then focus almost entirely on dodging traffic and lampposts. And then before I'm not even focusing on the AI, and before you know it, I'm in first. And the race wouldn't be the one on any of the ones in the hardest difficulty because you also have to think about AI. But I remember there's a turning point, and then I really thought to myself, you know, you want a game to be challenging but not hard. And I think one of the ways in which a game is challenging is where it challenges the player. If the player puts in effort, the game becomes easy. Does that make sense?
No, it's perfect, perfect. That's how not just fighting games, obviously, but also how From Software games work. Yeah, they're really hard, but if you understand very in depth, intricately, like how like iframes, invincibility frames, roll work, blah blah blah, all of a sudden it becomes a billion times
way easier
when you know how to play the game. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, From Software games, the Soul Series, Demon, Dark Souls, Sekiro,
Yeah,
those
it's not
games,
gonna be
Blood,
good.
those games are fucking evil if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, straight up unplayable. You will rage quit if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Um, with Midnight Club 2, I think that's one of the reasons why I played it on How Hard Can It Be 9, the highest difficulty with the cheat code.
Yeah.
I actually had an easier time than the original game.
Yeah, I know.
Because
We both did it.
I blundered so hard on my first attempt because I had to figure out the map. But then it became easy to me. It still caught me off guard though. Like the first race against Moses, I think. The AI are like actually they accelerate a little bit faster than my car, so I'm like, what the heck is going on?
The problem
once
is
I got
not
his
that
car,
they're
and-
accelerating quicker, it's that
Yeah.
their cars are actually like better. Remember
yeah,
that?
they're just straight up better.
Their cars
so-
are always better when you have to go up against a rival. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but
You're really gonna have to just
really
smurf on you.
after Moses, it was almost kind of smooth sailing, up until the very last boss, Savo, which still was difficult, but it wasn't the end of the world because again, I'd also had his route engraved into my brain at that point. But I think the sign of a game with good difficulty is it challenges you, and then once you actually put in the effort to figure stuff out, it becomes easy. But Spy Hunter 2, that was not Spy Hunter 2. Unless probably on like a ridiculous high technical level. I mean, basically any YouTube video about Spy Hunter 2, and you'll see somewhere in the comments like, man, I hated the train level, or I hated the final boss, or I hated this or that, or something else.
That's one thing about, because I've been actually thinking about playing that when I get like a good gap to just drown in it.
Dude, you should.
When I
honestly.
watched a play the train thing, and I'm like, I feel like it's the same problems people have with like the train thing on San Andreas, where there is a
Mm.
specific method to do things.
Yeah,
The main
yeah.
problem people to explain for San Andreas, the main problem people had with the train levels, they'll park right next to the train, and Big Smoke, the AI, it couldn't aim completely up to shoot the enemies. You'd have to
Mm.
go like have a gap between. If you did that, piss easy, you will never find the. All
The
we had
comments
to do
about
was
it.
follow the damn train, CJ. You'll never hear that. I never
Yeah.
heard that. I never failed it as a
Mm.
kid.
Nice,
I got
nice.
lucky though. Just not going too close. I guess I could have just kept going close and being like, "Why am I not getting it?"
Oh, yeah, yeah. Um, but you should honestly, you should try Spy Hunter 2 one of these days. Like mechanically, it's really well. Like now that you know
I feel
its
like I have
shortcomings.
to
Yeah,
because it's Angel Studios. I feel like I
it's
almost have
Angel
to now.
Studios, and also it's ridiculously hard. You can
Oh,
emulate the
but
game and it'll run fine, but there is a really annoying audio glitch. Really annoying audio glitch. Honestly, best case scenario, you just pop it in your PS2 and play it. It's a good time.
I got a free
Um,
boot memory card, so yeah.
yeah. It's very mechanically well made and frame
Oh, man.
pacing is like perfect and everything else. It's just that it's way too short and way too hard. That's really the only shortcomings. If it had like maybe, let's say, I'd say 30 levels.
And then
30
easier
missions,
like
and
difficulties.
like it would still like, as hard as the game gets, it would get that hard, but at the end. You know what I'm saying? Really, what
Mm.
it is you have
That's
like
really
different.
important for games.
Yeah.
Pacing of AI difficulty. Like you don't want spikes and
You
shit
don't want, yeah, you don't want difficulty spikes unless
because
it's
you're
like
gonna catch
intentional.
average person off guard.
Yeah, like in the game Cave Story, there's a massive difficulty spike at the very end.
Ooh.
If you get the one
Ooh.
ending where, well, but like the whole point is in that game, you go to hell. That's the point of the difficulty spike. It's supposed to be there, you know. So be it. However, with Spy Hunter 2, basically you have locations, right? Locations are basically like worlds from Mario games, you know? World 1
Do
is,
you
is
just
this
reminded
place.
me of?
World 2 is that place. Yeah, what is it?
With like Hollow Knight being hard, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me, mate.
Yeah.
Absolute radiance. I did that.
Oh gosh.
Which is the final boss in the game, and she's considered like within like the decade's boss fights, one of the top 3 hardest by like consistently.
Dang.
It's like within 1 or
Oh,
7 to like 1. It's
that's
fucking
ridiculous.
bullshit, honestly. It's like
Mm.
imagine like because you had Cuphead. Imagine like Cuphead like on crack.
Oh
That's what their
gosh.
boss is like. And Cuphead's
Yeah.
already pretty fucking
I,
brutal.
I somewhat recently played Cuphead and Cuphead was short, man. I was expecting it to be
Yeah,
like
if
at
you
least
don't
twice
get
as
if you
long.
don't start getting decimated, it's honestly not that bad. I finished it
Yeah.
within like 3 days.
Yeah, I finished
Also,
it
I'm no
in
beginner to roguelites either, so yeah.
yeah,
Platforms.
I think I finished it in about 8 hours or something. Not all in one go. It was just like a couple
Yeah, mine
like a
was like
couple
across
days.
a couple
Probably,
days, but
probably
it was
closer to
like
like 10 or
7,
maybe
8
12
hours.
But in any case, with Spy Hunter, you see like the first location in the US, all of those levels are pretty easy actually. Like pretty darn easy. Like I could do them as a kid and I can do them now. Um no, they weren't in the US. They were I think they were in Switzerland or something like that. I think so. Somewhere else.
Where's the difficulty spike that we're
Uh,
looking for? Where's the spike
Literally,
strips?
like okay, you do that, and then the first boss is a plane. You blow up an airplane with missiles that like the airplane shooting at you because it has like mounted things like that, and it's still not that bad. And then you get to the U.S. and the first mission, you're like, all right, this isn't that bad. A slight difficulty increase.
And let you
It's
drop
still
your guard.
it still feels like PS2 level difficulty, but it's not that bad. Like it's of the era, right? That's the first mission in the U.S. The second mission in the U.S. I have not beat it to this day. To this day, I have not beat it. Or no. Was it the second? I think it was the second mission in the U.S. I still have not beat it to this day because I'm just not capable. And I
Talking
just
about
haven't
hard
synced
shit.
enough time in there. And then after that, every other level after that is basically as difficult, if not more. So the spike really happened between two levels. Oh man, yeah, that was something. But what were you saying?
I forgot my original question. I was going to ask. You know how when people talk about handling, they say they don't want it on rails.
Yeah,
I thought that's the whole thing. What everyone wanted. They didn't want like break the drift. They just wanted the car to turn when you want it on
yeah,
rails. Because that's how Black Box's handling model works. Like when it's like,
it
oh
is
yeah, I just
pretty
want
much
it to
on
turn like
rails.
this. I'm like, bro, you're turning at 300 k's on a 90-degree angle. And mate, even these
Oh
F1
man,
cars nowadays that could technically drive on the roof at full downforce can't even make turns like that. So yeah, just,
yeah,
who cares? This has to be like even remotely realistic. Just make it fun.
yeah, yeah. It just it has to be fun, and it has to give at least give you the impression that you're doing all the work, even
And
if
not
it's not.
even just
Because
that.
honestly, I still wouldn't call it on rails because what it is if
Yeah,
you
no.
had like if you had if you weren't constrained by the physics of the world and you could just make whatever car you wanted with whatever ridiculous amounts of grip that you wanted, then you'd get something like that, you know? Um,
Essentially, the handling model itself is able to break the laws of physics.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You know, like,
yeah,
I would
yeah.
consider Forza Horizon 1 to be pretty arcade feeling, but not quite on rails. Um,
Yeah,
I
nah,
thought it
you
had a
could
great handling
fail
model.
if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, So yeah, I don't even know how we got into this discussion. It was somehow
No
started with
idea.
Project Cars 3.
But one hard thing I did recently was on Street Fighter 4 in the arcade mode.
Yeah.
There's secret bosses where you have to like do specific things in the fights leading up to it. So I did Oni, which was I did it on the hardest difficulty.
Mm.
And for you boys who haven't played fighting games, AI on the hardest difficulty. Ooh,
Yeah,
you're
it's probably
framed too
ridiculous.
late on a punishment. Yeah, they block it, and now you're getting punished for it. Woo! No, but
Dang.
essentially to get to Oni, you have to. So there's 10 fights, 11 counting the final boss Seth. Yeah, his name's fucking Seth. Weird name, honestly. It was named after a really esteemed member of the community, Seth Killian. Blah blah. So there's 11 fights in total. You have to never lose a single round, get one perfect victory, 10 first attacks, 5 super or ultra finishes, and then you have to defeat the final boss Seth with a super or ultra.
Wow. All right
That
then.
is some fuck shit they want you
Yeah.
to do. That is like, that's like Shovel Knight type deal. That's Shovel Knight right there. It's like, oh.
Actually, I remember I was really confused with Shovel Knight as a whole because I know everyone thought that the game was really hard. I didn't think it was meant to be hard. I just thought I sucked at it. So I mean I
No,
did
no, no,
eventually beat the game and
that's
it
the
didn't take
thing.
that
That's
long,
what I'm
but
getting into. I can
oh, okay.
consistently get to Oni now.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
until I like figured out, like I had to learn the frame data off like 40 characters pretty well and
Yeah.
realize the punishes and what my character can do. And since I got it, it's not that hard. But until then, I was just drilling on myself, like
Yeah.
hoping one of these that AI just didn't go batshit on me and start doing like Evo combos. That sometimes happens. Like, oh,
Oh
that's
gosh.
2 FADC combos. That is something that Infiltration, a 6-time champion, does. Fuck off.
That's ridiculous.
Don't ever do that. Don't ever disrespect me like that.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, since we're about halfway through, I think we should at least get into the
Oh,
next topic. So,
oh yeah. Dirt.
there's rumors of more rumors of a new Switch. And it's interesting. I have two sources which actually contradict each other a little bit. One from IGN says that there's a new version of the Switch into production and will likely launch in the first quarter of 2021. And it says all that it's working on is improved interactivity, whatever that means, and a better quality display. And it says there's no suggestions as to the power of the hardware, so it's unclear if this is a pro-like update with more powerful internals. Reading it right off the IGN article. Then another source says New Nintendo Switch FCC filings confirm new model with a system on a chip and RAM changes, along with a CPU board change. Um, that's pretty substantial difference in within the articles. Um, you see, well, when I first saw the IGN article, my only thoughts were like, "Oh, it seems kind of minor," but you know what it really is? You know what it still really might be? Um, New hardware that's also protected from hacks and from modding and stuff like that. Why do you think the Redbox switch exists? The Redbox switch, for people who don't know, they released a quote unquote new switch. Basically, it uses a newer version of the Tegra K1 chip that's just as powerful but consumes a lot less power. Because it consumes less power, your battery life is increased substantially. It's actually the same chip they use in the Switch Lite. So they made the Switch. They made the Switch Lite, which has a much smaller battery, but has a longer battery life due to the fact that the new chip is just more power efficient. But I really bet the reason why they made the Redbox Switch is so that they can what's it called? They can pretty much avoid people from modding those switches. So if you want to mod a switch, you're probably gonna have to get your hands on a launch model, or the ones that on launch.
The
And that's
homebrew
why
boys.
you see listings on stuff on the net for those being crazy high prices.
High.
The last time I checked, anyways.
To be fair, you look at the prices and you think, this is how much one Switch game is. It's never going to lower in price. Fuck, that might be worth it if I can homebrew it.
Yeah,
You'd save so much
Man.
money. Like, Switch games, Nintendo,
games. The heck?
that's Nintendo's one extreme Achilles heel fault.
Yeah,
Dog, the games never drop in prices.
they never do.
Never. If anything, usually they go up. Like, the Pokemon games, like the huge collection I have, like I've been playing over the years,
Yeah,
they're worth like triple what I paid for them at the time.
that's
Like,
insane.
Game Boy Advance, like, copies of, like, Pokemon games are fucking ridiculously expensive here. Like, 140 secondhand.
Damn. What the heck?
Yeah, I have, like, 4 or 5. So, yeah, it's easy money if I ever wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah. So I just decided to look up out of curiosity. So I'm looking at a retailer. So it is actually a little bit cheaper than standard price, but not by much. It's $54 as opposed to 60, right? A $6 discount. You know what game I'm looking at? The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Wait for it. Not for Switch, but for Wii U. The Wii U copy of Zelda Breath of the Wild is still almost full AAA price. And it's from 2017. That's ridiculous, man. But that is, it's just Nintendo being Nintendo, and they know that with their games they're not gonna have to really reduce price anyways.
Fuck no, people are gonna pay for
if
them.
you really want to play the new Mario or the next Zelda game, you're gonna end up paying the price for it.
And you will.
For the most part, it will be worth it.
Yeah, it will be. Actually, will be. You'll get some fire.
But
It's just daunting.
there also is the Switch tax. Which, from my understanding of it, cartridges are extremely expensive, which usually hikes up the price of things, like expensive to make. So because of that, it's gonna hike up the price. Like I think The Witcher 3, they're probably not making that much profit off of the Switch port because the cartridge is around 32 gigs, which is I think the max for those cartridges. So, and I think the more storage each cartridge can hold, it will increase the price respectively. So.
Yeah, it's how
to make
Pokemon
it.
worked. Back in the DS era.
Something like that. So it's one of them ones, and also they have a policy where if you have a physical game and you have a digital version, the digital and physical versions have to be the same price, which ends up with things like indie games being $30 when they probably should have been maybe 10 digital, and then like $30 would make sense for a physical copy if it also
that's
like
not very.
Because, like, I think Cave Story Plus on Switch, the physical copy comes with, like, keychains and other stuff with it. So, like, oh, you're really a big fan, Here's just $30 version. It comes with the game and also, like...
To be fair, that's
cool
smart in
manual
a business
booklet
way.
And, like, keychains and other stuff in it. Yeah.
The way I've thought about that is, if it's the same price as digital, physical, digital being the same price,
Yeah.
they incentivize you honestly to
Getting the
get
physical.
because as you said, they're expensive to make. We better fucking flip these off.
Yeah.
But also in the same way, if they buy digital, you get that
Oh
money
my
anyway,
gosh. Yeah.
and
If you
you
get
can still
digital.
sell the physicals for that. Oh,
Yeah.
Nintendo
I
with
mean,
the big fucking brain business tricks.
yeah. But
Oh,
honestly, I don't really know if it's
scary
worth it
but
because there's a
smart.
lot of games I would have on Switch if it weren't for the fact that they're $30 each.
Yeah,
Like Cave Story. I love Cave Story. I've played through it many times but I can't justify $30 for it on Switch. I just can't. Unless I wanted the physical version and then I still don't know about that. I mean I just like having games digital. I don't have to find the game card and switch them out. And same with Terraria on Switch. It's $30. I just don't think it should be. Um,
no,
and,
that's
and here's the thing,
not
like
good.
content wise, it is worth 60. But the fact alone is that it's cheaper on Steam and everything else. You know,
Everywhere else,
it's
everywhere.
the same issue with Burnout Paradise Remastered on Switch being $50 US. I think it's down to 30 now. But you see, the problem wasn't that the content wasn't worth it. No, I personally believe the content in Burnout Paradise is worth $50 US. But it's the fact that you could get the original game on sale or the other versions and other ports on sale, and that's what really changes the value equation, which is, if these other listings say the game is worth this much money, why should this one be worth so much more? So that's just one of the things to consider. But back to the Switch in general. I really do think it's possible that we're getting either a quote unquote revised Switch that's really just to stop modders, which, I mean, is something you should know, Nintendo. They're going to figure it out anyway. Like Red
No, do you know
Box
what the
Switch or
problem
not,
with
they're going to
Nintendo is?
figure it out anyway.
What that with modders
Yeah.
is that they purposely take all these attempts to stop them as a challenge to overcome.
Yeah.
They're
It's
gonna
like
keep doing
fuels
it.
them.
They find fun in it.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When Linux, you could install Linux on a PS2, by the way, and you can also do that on a PS3, at least up until a certain point. And I think it was because weren't the massive PlayStation Network hacks done with a PS3 on you running Linux or something like that? I actually
Yeah,
don't
no,
know. It's
that was the
probably
thing. You would not you would specifically install the Kali Linux, which is
okay.
the other boys listening to this or whatever maybe know that from illegal darknet setups. But yeah, they use Kali Linux because
Oh,
you can
okay,
put
yeah.
some vicious fucking Trojan kits on there,
Dang.
and
Yeah.
bingo bongo, PlayStation Network, here you go. Take that.
Yeah.
Chop chop.
But like one of the things that's interesting is nobody really cared too much to hack the PS3 until that point, because they're like, you can already install Linux on it. They're already giving you the freedom, so let's not even worry about it. But when Microsoft is like, oh, here's the hypervisor, we're not letting anybody hack it. They're like, oh, really? We'll
Yeah.
show you, and then they hacked it. Of course they did. When you make the barriers for them, they're just gonna break them. Honestly,
Yeah.
if Nintendo is like, you know what, if you can mod the Switch, so long as you're not doing any like illegal activity with it, it's fine with us. If you wanna do something, it's your hardware, you purchased it. You realize that would slow down hacking or mods for the
I
Switch
would
so
because
much.
most of those
Ridiculously.
hackers, the reason why they do so is the
Yeah, it's so that they
challenge.
can get past it. And like I think people are already working on mods for the Switch Lite, and actually they have been like almost a few months, if not like a few weeks after it originally came out, which is
Like a
ridiculous.
little fun story about the JTAG Xboxes. We're talking about
Yes, yes, yes,
Xbox.
yes.
One of my boys had one. One of the original like creators of the formatting for JTagging Xboxes. He didn't even have an Xbox at first. He did it just because of the challenge that they said that like you will
Dang.
never be able to do this. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
you,
That's
you
crazy.
literally created the idea of JTAG Xboxes, Microsoft, just because you said don't mod our shit. Okay,
It's
someone didn't do it.
ridiculous. Oh,
You
man.
invited it. You invited the madness. That's what you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. And so like Nintendo, if that's the case, they're just gonna hack it in a few weeks after anyway, so whatever. But if it really is a new model with a system on a chip and a RAM change and a CPU board change and other stuff like that, then I'm either worried or I'm just kind of not interested. You know,
Mm.
basically it's a potential Switch Pro. Um, and the article says that, well, Sony and Microsoft are going to come out with their new systems. So we should probably, so Nintendo's probably looking at, well, what do we do now? We're in this weird cycle. We joined this generation in 2017, kind of late. Um, it's not that they can't make good hardware. It's that, well, they feel like they're betraying the fan base if they make a new generation. And really, the difference in a new generation is whether or not you're capable of playing the next generation of games. If you're not on your current hardware, then you're gonna have to get newer hardware. That's kind of how I see it, anyways. Um, you see, I could see them kind of playing it safe where CPU is better and the GPU is better, and they can run games at 4K now. Let's just say they make a Switch Pro, somewhat powerful, plays games in 4K, but you're still able to play normal Switch games as they come out, and there's no distinct difference in games. What that means is, it's kind of like PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. The base games, or no, the games will still come out on the base consoles. There aren't PS4 Pro exclusives or Xbox One X exclusives. There aren't exclusive games for those specific platforms. That would make a difference. And really, what it is it's also, it has to do with when we were talking about the Series S. A less powerful console. Game developers are going to focus on what the next generation of systems are doing, and mainly the ones that are, I guess, kind of the most mainstream and sell the most. And honestly, Nintendo's kind of all right because they've been selling a lot of Switches, but just like the Wii U happened, they're not invincible. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, I feel like the majority of people are picking up PS4s and Xboxes, or I guess PS5s and Series X's whenever they come out. And if games aren't up to par, then they're gonna have to make half-made, kind of crappy attempts at ports for the Switch because the Switch just isn't that powerful, and it's really gonna lose ground when the next gen of consoles come out. So if Nintendo has this new system, um, and you really have two outcomes, which is Nintendo basically abandons people who bought the Switch or the Switch Lite so early into their life cycles. It's only been 3 years since the Switch has come out, and like 2 or 1 since the Switch Lite. I haven't been paying attention too hard to that, um, and so that would just cause insane frustration. Like, oh, for the new Switch, you're gonna have to get, or for the new Switch games, you're gonna have to get a new. Like, imagine, dude, imagine Breath of the Wild 2 comes out and you have to buy the Switch Pro for it. You have to buy the Switch Pro for it. Like, can you even imagine the outrage? Because a lot of people bought the Switch for Breath of the Wild. And if you had to buy a new system for Breath of the Wild 2, that's gonna infuriate a lot of people.
And here's the thing: Nintendo fans, like, is someone who's been
My
a bitchy
gosh, man.
bunch. Like, they're a fucking whiny bunch.
Yeah,
Like,
they are. I'm
bro,
sorry,
imagine
but
if
I have
that
to say it.
happened and how fucking they're mad when they get good shit. Imagine if
Yeah,
that happened,
sometimes.
having to buy another Switch.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, like, of course, the hardcore fans
They'll
like, you know what?
bitch.
Sure,
They'll
I'll do
still
that.
buy it. They'll
Yeah,
bitch,
I'll
but
still
they'll
buy
still
it.
buy it.
Yeah. Um, but if it's just a console that upscales things, then it's not actually going to keep up with the other games that generation.
Oh
Because
fuck
let's say
no.
you have I don't know, some open world game that's gonna, you know, the first thing came to my mind for some reason was Horizon Zero Dawn, but that's a Sony exclusive, and I guess now it's on PC. But the second game would be a Sony exclusive.
Actually,
So, um,
talking about specs,
yeah,
because in the last Vermin Sermon where I don't remember much, I apparently binned it.
yeah,
At my friend's 21st, we had a whole conversation about, like, when you think about computer specs and you go back like even a couple years, the bar was, it's a lot higher now, and it's just gonna get higher when next gen games come into play. Yeah, the Switch,
yeah.
ooh,
It's not gonna do
yeah,
so well. No, it's
oof,
not.
it's gonna show its age.
Yeah, it is. Um, and here's the thing. Like, I guess let's take The Witcher 3. It runs on Switch, but it doesn't run very well. It runs all right. I mean, it's playable. It doesn't stutter like a crap ton, but it is fairly ugly and blurry and whatever. You take The Witcher 3. Okay, let's say whatever the next, how about Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk's a good example. Let's say Nintendo makes a really powerful new Switch Pro. It can run Cyberpunk 2077 at whatever resolution the screen will be and at decent frame rates, right? Maybe locked 30 or hopefully 60, but whatever, right? The game can run Cyberpunk. But because they don't want to abandon other Switch users, it's not going to get to play Cyberpunk, even though it's powerful enough. Why? Because, well, the old Switch can't do it. And if the old Switch can't do it, it's not worth making a port that for a system that's meant to be part of the same generation. Like, again, that would be like let's say there was a game that the base PS4 was, it was too difficult for the base PS4 to run, but the PS4 Pro could run. Well, you're not gonna have that game on the PS4 Pro, even though it can run it, because the base model won't run it, and Sony wants to keep it in the same generation. So if it's just an upscaled Switch, I don't really care. I was thinking about this. I was playing Mario Kart with some of my friends. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is basically Mario Kart for the Wii U, so it's 2014, I think. So 2014 graphics, and already on basically PS3 level hardware, but it still looks good. Still doesn't look bad. And you know what it is? I think there's a way you can. I mean, there's obviously a way you can make a game subjectively look good, even if specifics and textures aren't that great. I mean, like, if you just look at Mario Kart gameplay, you're not going to be thinking, oh man, this is so ugly while you're playing it. It's aesthetic. And honestly, Nintendo first-party games look really darn good. Always. Almost always. Even though they're on inferior hardware and you can tell, like, oh man, the textures here are kind of bad. But just the way they do it, I don't understand it. But they managed to make it like
way above their weight.
Yeah, dude, and like Mario Kart runs at 60, and Odyssey runs at 60 frames and everything, and I'm just like, what the how does Mario Odyssey run at 60 and still look good? And The Witcher 3 tries to run at 30, but doesn't look so good. And yes, the textures are better, maybe the models are better, but like, a specific, you have to understand with what's visually appealing is a subjective thing, and you have to appeal to that rather than just, what is the texture size and how
and not even just that.
Yeah.
I do think that, because it's first party IPs, they do really get to fucking limit test how well that game can run on the actual hardware.
Oh yeah. No, I bet, nobody would know their hardware is good as themselves, so
they know how to push it.
Yeah.
And then when you get the ports, it's like maybe you're asking a bit too much.
It's always the third-party ports that are kind of lacking. It's just something weird. Nintendo,
what I'm really with the whole punching above their weight is that coming into this next gen, I think there might be a bit too much weight to punch through.
Yeah,
and that's going to be the issue.
No, you see, I think coming into next gen, the next Nintendo first-party IPs are going to be fantastic. They're going to look fantastic, and they're going to run fantastic. But the ports, it's going to be another Wii U situation where nobody makes a port on their
What about
system.
If somehow the first-party IPs, they get better, and the third-party ports get worse?
That's probably what's going to happen.
Nintendo probably,
probably what's going to happen.
I'll figure out.
Dude, like Mario Galaxy 2, a lot of people talk about how great that game looks. That was on the Wii. That's almost like in between PS2 and PS3 hardware. But it still looked great. And it was still outdated for its time. It was still definitely outdated for its time. It's unbelievable.
Super Mario Galaxy.
Galaxy and Galaxy 2.
Fire.
Games were good. They ran well, and they looked amazing too.
The soundtracks, though.
The soundtrack, I forgot about that.
Oh, they're so good. That's one thing that Nintendo never misses on with any of their franchises. My fucking soundtracks. They get them bangers. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, they just get them down great.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, and like looking into it, I've always said Japanese developers and all that, they always have amazing soundtracks. I wonder, and then I like look deeper into how they see games, and they do see soundtracks as like one of the most important things in a game because it sets the tone for everything.
It would make sense.
They say like even it's important to have the feel of your, like, say your menu relative to how the menu screen looks.
Yeah, I think that is
It's like
important.
that is a lot of attention to detail, and you know what, fucking pays off.
Yeah,
A lot.
like I would consider Need for Speed Carbon
Here's-
to be one of the
I
most
actually have
brilliantly aesthetically created games.
Yeah.
Like you open and you're in the main menu and like just the UI. It's so weird. The UI and the soundtrack, the composed
Extract
thing, they match.
fits.
That's weird because one's a
That-
visual thing and the other's an auditory thing. But it's still,
And
it
the
matches.
one weird thing about that is, I remember looking back at that now, it's like, yeah, the Western developers, they don't go for that, like that type of thing, but it worked. They got
Yeah.
it somehow, I guess.
Yeah, and like even Most Wanted 05's, its kind of soundtrack sort of suited the way the UI looked, you know?
Oh yeah, when you're loading it, it's 9,000 and you look
Yeah.
at like the menu, yeah, that does fit. You're in some
does
grimy
fit.
fucking lot, the M3 sitting there, yeah, that's
Yeah. And
It's
like
an
you just-
energy.
you don't see that anymore. You know, everything is so clean cut and perfect looking that there's no personality in it anymore.
That is the thing, and sometimes it not being clean cut at all is what they're going
Part of
for.
it.
Like, that
Yeah,
is the personality.
dude, I love the Crew 1's UI actually. Like the gritty and they changed it a bit after the Wild Run update. So
I was
it
about
might
to
be a
say,
bit
we're
harder to
talking like
remember.
vanilla,
Yeah,
the crew,
vanilla.
because I really like that. I really
Yeah,
like the
the-
vanilla crew UI.
The UI and everything, like it did feel gritty and everything, and
It felt unique.
Forza Horizon
at the
1's
least.
UI, dude, the speedometer even, like little
I
things,
like
little
that.
details, like everything was like it
Yes.
felt like all festival related. I don't know
Everything
how,
felt
but
like it felt like everything was. They paid
it's a whole
attention to
package.
everything.
Yeah, there wasn't
They
a
didn't
single
slack.
part of it that they ignored. So man, it's just I don't know what it is. with
It's like
games
having stats in
nowadays.
an MMO. They didn't just unga bunga it all into one thing. They evenly
Yeah,
spread it
no.
out to where like it's better than the rest of those shit builds that people do. It's like, yes, balanced.
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah. Although we are kind of close to the end, I guess a quick topic thing to mention. Dirt 5. I'm now really interested in Dirt 5. Really, really interested in Dirt 5.
Ooh, saw that news.
And it's their Playgrounds mode, or basically their creation device thing. Like, think Mario Maker, think Little Big Planet, think Mod Nation Racers, stuff like that.
Draw noughts.
Like, I'm sure the rest of the game will be great. You see, the rest of the game was probably great for a Dirt fan, but, okay for me. But that creation tool changes everything. I really want the game now. And I haven't felt that way about
Because you can do
games in
some
general for a while.
insane crackhead maps, I bet.
Dude, there have been a few people who have
if
early
you can't,
release.
people would figure out how to do it.
Yeah. And one of the people who had early access to the, I guess, a demo with the creation tool made Wario Stadium from Mario Kart. Like, that's the kind of creativity I want to see, and I'm going to see that. Now, here's a thing that's really important. Will there be not even cross-play, but will created events be cross-platform?
Yeah, that is fucking critical.
Yeah,
Very critical.
that is.
One thing about that is someone's gonna make like an actual Hot Wheels track, and it's gonna be fire.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna make like the world race tracks.
Yeah, definitely. And here's one thing that I think is kind of unfortunate, because they are doing a free Series X and free PS whatever upgrade, and I think just the fact alone that they have both like a PS4 and a PS5 port, both an Xbox One and a Series X port, means that they're a little bit limited with their creation tool. because I noticed the area where you make, I guess events in, it's spacious, but it's not massive. And in the top right, it has a little thing that says memory, and there's a percentage, and it fills up as you fill up with things, and it doesn't fill up very quick. But you know what it is? It is entirely held back by the base PS4 and base Xbox One. It is entirely held back by it. If it launched solely on the Series X and the PS5, I can assure you the area where you create things would be much bigger. Much bigger. Not only that, but you would also like the little memory counter thing or whatever. The percentage would be way lower per each item you add, just because it would have more room to work with. Um, and that's just one of the really unfortunate things about this kind of situation. Because do you make a game only for next gen consoles that people are upset because they can't play in the current ones, or do you hold back your game so that more people can play? That's got to be a tough decision to make, and I'm almost certain they thought about that. Like, I'm genuinely certain that they actually had the conversation of, hey, for our creation tool, you do realize if we're gonna pull this off, it's gonna be held back massively by the base PS4 and Xbox One. They're like, yeah, but either we just release it on the new systems or we just abandon them. However, I think they can still do it where maybe on the Series X and the PS5 they have an update where they increase the size of that stuff, and then because it's still a free upgrade, it would to the games of those platforms, provided you just have those platforms, then I think it would be a good move all around. Honestly, yeah, I think like for PC, PS5, and Series X, expand that area as much as you possibly can. I think that would only be the best. Um, but I really do hope that the created things are cross-platform. Now, I know you weren't necessarily looking at the game, but does the creation thing at least make you think, maybe I'll get this game on sale? I want to know your opinion.
I don't know. It does make me interested to just try it at least.
Yeah, yeah. Like maybe like
Which is
if what they could have done, or what they could do still is make a demo, and in that demo you basically have access to the creation tool, and maybe you can play like sometimes, even though it is a creation tool, like the developers themselves will use their own creation tool for events. Maybe have like 5 of those you can play, and then you can create as many as you want. I think that would be just a demo, just a little taste of some part of it. Maybe how about this? One career event, one of some other type of event or whatever, and then you have the creation tool, but you can't publish or go online to view others' creations or something like that. That would be a good demo that doesn't quite give you everything that you'd want to get, so it'd still make you want to buy the game. But
what would be handy for those maps is like if they had like specific like unique share codes, like
yeah,
unique
I
code.
think
We
they
just
probably will.
yeah, definitely they
assuming
have to.
so.
That's like standard for
Yeah,
any.
that's
type
pretty.
of
Even
create a
Nintendo does
fucking
that, and
game.
Nintendo is like way behind on online stuff. Always.
No, they do that amazingly. It's like the
Yeah,
one part of online
the
they
one
get
part
right.
online. Yeah, that's like, yeah, but man, I actually am really looking at this because I played a ton of Mod Nation Racers, and all the maps that I made were crap, but they were so much fun to make. So I already have like some ideas of some of the kinds of things that I want to make, and um, definitely not like a full day one release, but I could see myself getting this on sale at some point in time. So yeah, I honestly, I genuinely think I am gonna get Dirt 5. Just maybe on sale, but yeah, the creating thing seems really, really interesting. Honestly, that's the most like it's the thing that's hyped me up for the game the most. I'm not necessarily hyped for it, but I'm anticipating it whenever I get the hands on it. So I guess we'll see then. And if there's nothing else to add, I guess that'll be it for the 32nd episode of the Vermin Sermon. 32nd, because we did not have an episode last week. We did not have anything last week. And if you mention anything about something that you think happened last week, I assure you it didn't. Um,
What happened
we'll
last
see.
week?
Actually, I don't know, really. I think I was just busy. I think I was just busy last week. I
Oh
think
shit!
we were all just busy. And you mentioned that you were at your friend's 21st, and
Oh
so,
no
yeah,
no no
we're all just doing our own
that
things.
was
We're all just doing our own
that was
things.
the lost episode.
Well, so what do you mean? What are you talking about? What lost? You don't, man. Are you still drunk from that? Because there's no lost. I
I
don't know
probably
what you're
got
talking
some
about.
brain trauma. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's no lost
Yeah, true.
episode. So I really don't know. This
Yeah.
is the 32nd episode. Sorry,
To
we
be
took a break
fair,
last week, and there was nothing that happened last week. Nothing at all. Not a single upload last week. Didn't happen.
oh, that's fucking crazy. Yeah, true. I don't remember anything if we did.
You
so-
genuinely don't remember what happened.
No, I fucking don't.
Oh, that's the best part of it, man. All right. Then.
Oh.
Well, see you guys all in the next one.